camp, seeing a lot of smiles for a shark attack. Guys, I hope that means you all survived. Yes, thumbs up. Still alive, limbs intact. Okay, whew, close call. Sorry about that. It seems like they still need a little time getting a handle on the shark problem in Amity, so we'll head out of here, folks. We'll make our way to our next destination down the hill, Old Mexico. We're gonna leave the sharks behind, but maybe bring the water with us. Here in Old Mexico, you look around, it's a nice, lovely day. But let's say the scene that you're gonna film here, you gotta change up maybe the atmosphere a little bit. You don't want it to be a lovely day. You need to add some weather elements in. Now, you don't have the budget for visual effects. So we're gonna use practical effects, meaning they're done on the set in real life right in front of you. And you wanna add things like thunder and lightning. We can use practical effects like strobe lights and speakers. We'll just place them strategically around the set. Strike them up. Haha, there you go. Now we're talking. Now you want to add rain into the mix. What we'll do there essentially is raise a sprinkler system high above set. And from that point, you flip the on switch. And there you go. Movie making magic. You got a sprinkler at home, you got a movie waiting to be made. Now, rain by itself might make a scene feel sad or romantic, but throw in all those thunderbolts and lightning. Very, very frightening. Suddenly, the tone shifts, and things have become ominous. Maybe there's something dangerous coming. Maybe it's coming just around the corner. Hey, watch out back there, guys. Looks like we are actually calling another flood. You might be in the splash zone. And right over here, if it seemed like I knew that was coming, guys, I promise. I did. That was the Flash Flood, the first attraction ever added on our tour in 1968. You might have seen that in the music video for Lady Gaga's song Judas, or the movie Big Fat Liar with Paul Giamatti. And there you have the Flash Flood. Much more enjoy from the safety of the tram. We're gonna make our way out of there, guys, before we can get swept away in any more floods. We'll head now from Old Mexico into the Old West. Welcome to 6 Points, home to some of the most classic westerns and westerns. John Douglas, Stuart Clint Eastwood, the one and only Robert Redford, who we unfortunately lost not too long back, an icon of cinema, independent film. We've had stars of more racing here as well. Quentin Tarantino's 9th feature film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, shot here. Several scenes with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. They won a few Oscars for that, including Best Production Design. That's one of the Oscars we won this year for Wicked. So production design, guys, that is the overall look of a production. The art direction, we mentioned that back by Earthquake, that's just one aspect of the production design, the sets themselves. The production designer has to make sure the art direction's consistent with the lighting design, the hair and makeup, the costume design, and all those other moving pieces fit together. And they'll do that in collaboration with the director, making sure that they achieve the director's vision for what that production is. So very much a team effort, a collaborative effort, as I'm sure you're all probably aware of and assumed already. Also some great examples of those differences between the practical sets and the facades. This last set to your left, a facade you'll see doesn't even have a full side to it if you look behind you. Another thing again to kind of keep an eye out for as we go. Speaking of directors though, guys, we're going to turn back up Steven Spielberg Drive. I didn't get to mention that the first time, but naturally, that is the road that took us up to Amity Island. It will take us past Amity Island one more time. And as we do, I could talk about Jaws all day, but there is someone else who's going to tell you more about Jaws, how it made its way to the lot, someone who's maybe slightly more qualified.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the tram. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, Jaws, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
All right, guys. So we're going to say goodbye to Amity for good. We're going to trickle down the food chain now and talk about some smaller yet equally terrifying creatures. Chickens. On your right, the Chicken Ranch, built back in 1982 for the best little whorehouse in Texas with Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. One of our largest practical sets. I think the door's open. You can versus that thing behind it up the side. You see again, just the front of it. We're going to see a lot more of these practical sets, though, guys, here on Colonial Street, our next destination. We're turning down the road here. This is a recreation of a suburban neighborhood. All large practical or semi-practical sets. This was just recently home to Ted. You'll see on screen Ted's house. This big blue house is coming up in real life on our right-hand side here. It's now been painted white. The colors have actually just kind of been inverted. But same house from screen to real life.
Let the festivities begin.
How many we got?
Well, let's see. We got 20 cartons.
Fantastic.
Do you think we're getting too old for this?
Oh, come on, Johnny, we're doing a public service here. If a kid leaves the house in a less than stellar Halloween costume, he's got to get the bad news before he makes a fool of himself all over town.
I think it's the same guy.
With Ted, we just had Ted's house painted for a different production that was in here for many months this year, guys. It's a new show called The Burbs. Coming to Peacock soon. It stars Keke Palmer. It was a sort of spin-off of the movie The Burbs, or inspired by the movie The Burbs, with Tom Hanks, which filmed here on Colonial many decades ago. There's a little bit of it on screen right there, and some other highlights of Colonial Street over the years. Music videos for Nelly and Kelly Rowland, and perhaps our biggest production on Colonial ABC's The Desperate Housewives. This was/is Wisteria Lane. Several decades before it was Wisteria Lane, it was Mockingbird Lane back in the 60s for the Munsters. You'll see the original Munsters house on your right, the pinkish purple one. A lot of history with the horror genre all across the lot. Our monster movies, of course, even right here on Colonial, though. The Munsters, Buffy the Vampire Slayer filmed an episode here, Nightmare on Elm Street 6. And it only gets scarier as we go back up the road. We're going to turn back on to Steven Spielberg Drive, the last stretch of it. Longest road on our lot, naturally. And it's they got more Spielberg history coming too. So I'm going to toss it back to Steven for a second to tell you a little more about how his journey with us all started.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. This was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom, and when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left, and then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
So if you were wondering why there are no bathroom breaks on the tour, you can take that up with Steven Spielberg. But speaking of the lot back in the 60s, on your left here, guys, is one of the original glamour trams from 1964. What our trams looked like back when the tour started. Pulled from the archives last summer for its 60th anniversary. It now sits here amongst some of our most famous picture cars. That is what we call any vehicle that shows up on screen, whether it's a car or not. It could be a plane, train, automobile, a tram, if you will. We still call it the picture car on set. Now, say you've been driving one of those picture cars all night long down the highway. It's late and you're tired, it's raining. You need somewhere to pull over and get a good night's sleep. Perhaps you could do that right here at the Bates Motel. The iconic, infamous motel from Hitchcock's classic 1960s Psycho. Seeing the remains of Halloween Horror Nights, which just ended this last Sunday. As we come up the hill from a screen to real life, the original Psycho house sits up here just looking over the motel. This is where Mother lives. You might see her up in the windows if you look up. Home guys outside right there by the wave. Smiling Norman from season 9. I usually. Don't need to come down the steps. Watch out back there, car floor. I can't see you. Here we go. Take the psychopath out of Hitchcock territory, guys. Back to guess who? Spielberg. That's right. Here we are now moving into one of the sets from Spielberg's 2005 sci-fi epic, War of the Worlds.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around envisions.
For them to sit down to talk about War of the Worlds. I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Okay, I'm closed.
Robbie, get in. Get in.
This is one of the largest sets ever built at that time, largely due to the sheer size of the plane. That is a real 747 Spielberg and team bought from an airplane graveyard just north of us. They bought it for about $60,000. Pretty good deal if you're in the marketplace for airplanes. But we're going to go from a veteran like Spielberg to a more recent filmmaker to call Universal home. As we head out to Jupiter's Claim, guys, this is just about our last stop on the tour. It's one of the sets from Oscar winner Jordan Peele's latest feature film, Nope. And to tell you a little more about it, here's the Oscar winner, writer, director himself.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Jupe Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Sheriff. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Well, I do. A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. Not looking so live anyway. Behind this Hollywood fantasy of a gold rush frontier town lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center of UFO hotspot. Welcome to the world of no.
Jupiter's Claim. Emphasis on sounds like Jupiter's Nope is a great example of sound design, how important sound is in production. You ever think of anything without the sound, the music? Jaws without that score, just not quite the same. Another really important moving piece of the puzzle, as we've talked about many throughout the tour. Our last few stops, though, getting kind of weirder and weirder, guys. So we're going to get you back to the park now. That'll be our next destination. Might be best. But there's one last thing you can see on your right. We call this Falls Lake. We don't normally get to see it. It's just a large basin there. We can fill it up with water. And then it takes about 3 days to fill the entire thing. Then we can use that blue backdrop there. It's really a blue screen. We use that to add in backgrounds with visual effects. Before we ever had the backdrop, though. Falls Lake's been here for a while, 1960. This is where Norman Bates dumped Marion Crane's car. Behind the motel, quite literally behind the motel. It was 27 years later we built the backdrop for Jaws: The Revenge. That's an example of a painted backdrop, though. Before CGI was really what it is now. Everything else in the clip, all backgrounds added in with visual effects. It's a lot easier to do those kinds of scenes on Falls Lake than on an actual body of water where we have far less control over the environment. Another testament to why we have a studio line in the first place. So whether it's the visual effects, the practical effects, the sound design, the art direction, these are a few, again, of many moving pieces that all have to come together at the end of the day to make that final magical product to get on screen at the theater or at home. And that is really what the tour is all about, taking you behind the scenes, not just to see the sets and sound stages, but to get some insight into how all of it works. Everything that goes into making it all happen, all the people and departments of